How to install the Mavic 2 Pro and Mavic 2 Zoom racing stripes and battery decals. That coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about installing the battery decals and racing stripes on the new Mavic 2 Pro and Mavic 2 Zoom. First we'll start off by talking about the composition of our decals. They're composed of three different pieces. On top you have the transfer tape. Just below that you have the decals itself. And then you have the backing material. So when you hear me talking about those different items, that's what they are. So basically the decal is sandwiched in between the transfer tape and the backing paper. One thing that we had to do, if you've installed any of our other either window decals or other battery decals, the FAA decals, anything like that, we had to do something a little bit differently with the Mavic 2 battery decals. The Mavic 2 itself has a real light texture to it, a little bit more textured than the original Mavic Pro, and definitely more textured than the Mavic Air that is very smooth. Because of that, the decals have a little bit harder time sticking to it when you're trying to remove it from the transfer tape. So we had to use a really low tack transfer tape in order to make sure it sticks to here and releases from the transfer tape. So installation is slightly more difficult with this, but if you take your time, you shouldn't have any problems. So first thing we need to do is we need to wipe off the Mavic using just a light amount of isopropyl alcohol. I have these handy wipes here. We'll just wipe off the entire top surface where the decals are going to be installed. If you have additional batteries that you're going to be installing them on, you should wipe those off at this time too. So we'll do that and just give it a good wipe. Don't oversaturate anything. And then we need to let that dry. So we're going to go ahead and set that aside. And while we're letting that dry, we'll go ahead and we need to cut these apart. So either using a hobby knife or scissors, we'll go ahead and cut each of these decals apart. When you're done, you should have 5 pieces. You should have 3 battery decals and then the 2 other body decals. Alright, so there we go. Here's battery decal number 1, 2, and 3, and then the 2 body decals. So I'm going to start off by let's do a battery first. The battery is usually the easiest place to start. It is easier to install this with the battery installed, just kind of helps hold it in place. So install it in your Mavic. Make sure that everything's dried off. It's a little easier to install if everything's dry. And then what we're going to do to remove the backing paper is flip it face down, and we're going to lift a corner. And what we need to do is peel it back at a 180-degree angle. So you can see how I'm pulling this straight back, just like this. And then you can see that this piece is starting to lift a little bit. Again, that's because of the low tackiness of this transfer tape. We will just push it back down and we'll rub with our finger on the back side where that piece didn't want to come up, and then we'll try it again. And again, at a 180-degree angle, if you take it nice and slow, it should come right up. Alright, so there's this backing tape paper you can just throw away. Now, we'll go ahead and install the first decal here. We will go ahead, and the easiest way is to line up this hole here with the ring around the power button. So just get that, make sure you get that nice and centered. And then after you get that centered, look at the end, make sure that this is centered up. Make sure it's centered up at the top. And then just using your finger right now, we're going to rub right down the middle to the outside. So we're just going to do this side first. We're going to make sure we don't get any bubbles in there. So working from the center out to the side, just with our finger for now. And then do the same thing on the other side, from the center all the way to the outside. Alright, and once we get that done, we need to use either a squeegee or a credit. You can use a credit card, but then again, working from the center out to the edges, give it a firm pressure, not too hard. You don't want to, this transfer tape's pretty tough, but you don't want to scrub through it. And again, on the other side, the adhesive on the back of the decal is pressure sensitive, so as you squeegee this down, it will then start adhering into all this fine texture that the Mavic has. Alright, and then using the same technique, that 180-degree technique, we're going to peel this transfer tape back. So again, nice and slow, we're going to make sure that all of the decal is sticking to the Mavic. Alright, and then you can throw this piece of transfer tape away. We're going to repeat the process for the body decals now, so we'll start with the next piece in line is this larger piece. Again, flip it upside down. You can even, if you want to, if you find that your decals are starting to pull still and stick to the backing paper instead of that transfer tape, you can even squeegee the back side of this with your credit card or your squeegee before you even start. So again, the 180-degree angle, nice and slow. All right. So then we'll line this one up with the one just below it, your battery decal. And before you press down, make sure it's lined up, because right now we can still back this out and we can rearrange it. But as soon as we give pressure, remember that adhesive's pressure activated. So again, starting in the middle, working our way all the way to the edges, just using our finger for now. Get that side, and then we'll do the same thing for the other side. And again, once we have that, make sure there's no bubbles. If you do get a bubble, you can just work it out to the edge, and once you get to one of the edges, it should dissipate. We're going to go ahead and squeegee it on real good. Now make sure when you're squeegeeing that you stay on this transfer tape. You don't want to go off and scratch your Mavic. Alright, once we give it a good squeegee, again 180-degree angle. And if these decals do start lifting at all, just push it down with your finger. After these decals have been on for about 24 hours, then there won't be any chance of those lifting up unintentionally. If anything does barely pull up, just rub it gently with your finger. And then we have the last one, which is the nose piece up here. Again, flip the decal upside down. Slowly peel it back. And here we go. Line it up carefully with the one below it. Again, use our finger, start in the center, work our way out to the edges, center to the edge. And then before you peel back, make sure you squeegee it on good. Alright, and then using that same 180-degree angle, nice and slow. There you go, you're done. Just repeat the same process for your other batteries. Simply pop the battery you've completed out, put your next battery in, and then put your other two battery decals in place. So that's it for the tutorial, guys. If you have any problems, contact us using the Contact Us form on our webpage, which is aerial-pixel.com/drone pilots. That is also where you go to purchase these decals if you're interested. I will have links in the description below to those. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe. I would appreciate it. As always, fly safe, guys.